speaker is Terrisa Murray, who's the founder of SAFEHEART International and also co-founder of Make Bullying History Foundation. So Terrisa has over 25 years of experience and expertise in program facilitation and delivery in the field of domestic, family abuse and violence. And in her work she helps to restore dignity, honour and value to women and families. And through SAFEHEART International, Terrisa has initiated social inclusion programs that work to mobilise social communities partnering together to create brave packs for those in need across the community. And this includes women escaping domestic violence, teenagers in long-term hospital stays and impoverished families. And she's also initiated community events that mobilise and educate the broader community to issues that affect life and death situations for those within the community that don't have a voice of their own. So welcome, Terrisa.
Hello everyone, I'm really excited to be here today and to talk about what we do and really who I am, and I'm really excited about that because we're talking about the topics that we're talking about. At age 32, I declared and waged war on domestic violence and domestic abuse and sexual abuse because I experienced those things from a very young age and I never spoke about it. I never talked about it. I got to the age of 32 and I had many people say to me, you've got a great husband, you've got this awesome family, I've got 3 kids that are fantastic, we're living in the hills, we're doing pretty good, strong vision, we're impacting youth on a whole nother level when it came to bullying and leadership and so forth, and my family looked fantastic. It looked like I was doing really well. But most people didn't know that before the age of 12, I had been sexually abused, molested and raped by 5 people in my family that I knew very intimately, that I watched my mum be beaten and bashed almost on a daily basis, on and off. And if you know anything about domestic violence, you can have a great season and you can have a really bad season, and that's what can mess you up because you can't make sense of it all. And that was happening from a very young age. I lived a life where it was very normal for me to make sure that my window is slightly open, things are unlocked, so when my dad knocked on the door, I could run like that. I would sleep out on the street. I learned where to sleep when I wasn't at home, and I learned that you sleep under a car that's just been parked because you keep warm. I had days where I'd go hungry because my parents were both alcoholics. My dad used drugs as well, so we have no money. You go hungry when you're a child. And I never told anyone until I was the age of 32. And the reason why I spoke up because I had a dying, gnawing vision, screaming voice that not only is it about me that needs to seek help, but there's so many other people that are going through the same thing, that are going through them worse than me. If I just speak up and speak out, how many people will be saved? How many kids that it just might not happen to them? How many children could I help? How many women could I listen to and help and speak to? And that's exactly what I did. At age 32, I spoke up and spoke out, and the only reason I did was because I found a safe place to do so. I had people around me that were telling me about you could get counselling, there's groups that you can sit on and find your voice in that and share your story. Because I didn't know how to talk about my story, and that was half of the reason why I didn't. I didn't know how to put language around things that I had seen. Attempted suicides at my parents took place and I would watch. Cleaning up my mum's vomit, cleaning up my dad when he tried to commit suicide, and feeling that stress and that pressure as a child that you have to protect your mum, because I was the youngest of 6 and everyone had run away, but I was the youngest, so I felt that pressure on my shoulders that I can't run away forever. I've got to look after my mum. Who else is going to look after her? And that's why I stayed at home so long. I stayed at home until I was 19, till I got married, and I never told anyone. It stayed deep down inside. And even with all the cool, amazing things that my husband and I were doing, and the great kids that I have, and I went to church every Sunday, and we had awesome friends, and we went to events and got dressed up, on the inside I was dying. I was really dying. It's the only time I ever shared or spoke up about it when I was about 15. The only thing that I was told, it's because, and it's all happening because of the way you dress. So that told me I'm never talking to anyone ever again. And even when I did think about talking to someone, I just didn't know how. I didn't know the language, I didn't know the words, I didn't know how to describe the things that I had been through. and seen. At 20, my mum was beaten so bad by my dad that she decided to take her own life. I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I knew that this could not continue on through the generations anymore. I had to draw a line in the sand and make sure it never continued on. My children would never experience this. They will never go through that. I have to fight harder, and I need to get help so I can be a great mum and educated and experienced so they don't experience the same, and I can be a really good mum. And that's how my vision and that's how the next stage of my story proceeded. I received counselling. I read every book and magazine article you could possibly think of around women that had sought help, that had experienced domestic abuse, that experienced the things that I had seen, and I started to get a voice around it, and I started to understand what I actually had been experiencing. And although I had experienced those things as a child and a teenager, I still had trauma and post-traumatic stress from it, which I didn't know that. How would I know that I was experiencing those things? Until I read it somewhere and talked to someone about it and started to understand what I was actually going through. But I could seek help. You can find help. You can find those safe places and those safe people, which are not everyone, but they are there. And if you look hard enough, you will find them, because I did. And I found them in really good people and really good organisations, and I still do now. And then the next stage of my story, where I waged war again, was not only is it for my family, but now it needs to extend to the community. And through Make Bullying History Foundation, and also through SAFEHEART, specifically to do with DV, we impact over 100,000 students per year through our school programs alone. That's not including the other impacts that we have through social media, through events that we run, through communication that we do to young people, to teachers, to staff, to parents. Over 100,000 people we are impacting and educating around the treatment of each other. We need to stop and think, how are we treating each other? Not only strangers, but how are we treating the people that we love? It's not okay to swear at them. It's not okay to yell at them. It's not okay to hit them. It's not okay to be a terrible example if you're the one doing it. Seek help, even if you're in that situation. If you're being bullied or are a bully, seek help. You don't have to stay that way. If you know someone that is doing those things or experiencing or being domestic violent towards other people, tell someone. Tell them that they can get help. We must fight for each other as women, but we also must fight for our sons. We must teach our sons how to treat women. We can talk and talk and talk and talk amongst ourselves, but it's actually the next generation that will make a difference. And it's through educating the next generation that will impact the world on a whole nother level. As parents, as teachers, as educators, as all the people in this room that run different programs, different social impact, different events, different organisations. It's the next generation that we can talk to and care for and come up with ideas and initiatives that can impact the globe on a whole nother level. And I put a call out to every single person in this room and every organisation that every single person in this room represent. I put a call out. Let's wage war against domestic violence. Let's wage war against the poor treatment of each other. Let's wage war against the sexual abuse against our children. And let's wage war and fight for our sons, so they can be taught a whole new way of thinking, that they don't have to repeat what they see and what they experience at home. And we don't either. I speak hope. There is hope. If you have experienced anything like this, I'm telling you, there is hope. You can overcome. You can rise up. You can uprise, and you can impact and educate the next generation as a parent or as a provider. Wherever you are, in every sphere, in every business, you may think, well, who am I? I'm just a businessman. I'm just a businesswoman. I'm not actually involved in anything that is socially impacting. Yes, you are. You have a family. You live in a community. You may go to a church. You are a part of groups. And you can speak out and talk about these things and educate and be encouraging to each other to do the same. And we must talk about this more and more and more, and not just talk, but come up and collaborate and come up with ideas on how we can impact the next generation and make a massive difference. Because if I have to do it on my own, I will, but I know that I don't have to, because I can feel in this room that everyone here thinks the same. And I want to encourage anyone that may have been through anything that I've talked about or brought up or anything that has been spoken here today, can I encourage you to speak to someone about it and not go through it in silence, not go through it on your own. There's Hills Domestic Violence Prevention Network, there's CMRC, I'm sure there's other organisations. Please, I encourage you to go and talk, open your mouth. You may not know what to say or how to say it or how people are going to react, but can I encourage you to just have a go and see what happens? Because a life and a whole generation and a whole community can be totally impacted by the first word that comes out of your mouth. And I just encourage you to make a change. Thank you.